Okay, 2025 year in review. Let's talk about it. And yes, I am headed to a holiday party after this. How can you tell? Why would you ask? So, real quick, before I have to head out, let's talk about what happened in marketing, specifically in 2025. And I do hate talking about AI because it seems like it's the only thing anyone ever wants to talk about. And yet here we are. Every meeting I have, people are like, people always ask me about AI. So let me turn the question on you and ask you about AI. And I'm like, yeah, we have to talk about it, don't we? So as much as I'm just bored by talking about it, it's the hot topic of the year. So let's get into it. I did write a blog post about this, so you can check that out if you have not already. That's over on my website, AV as in my initials, Allison Verhalen. That is avwritingservices.com. And after writing and publishing the blog post, I heard that according to Merriam-Webster, the word of the year is slop, referring specifically to AI generated slop. Content as being slop. So, and if you are listening to me and not watching, I always put AI generated, the generated part in air quotes because, well, really the AI part too. It's not really AI. It's not really intelligent. It just knows how to follow some commands. So I think that is, and also the generated part in quotes, because AI does not generate anything. AI repurposes stuff and mushes it around and goes, here, is this what you're looking for? That's all it's capable of doing. It's not capable of intelligent thought. It's not capable of discernment. So I thought that was really interesting. And then of course on social media this morning, someone's asking me my quest of what I think of AI generated content. I do not think AI generated I do not think content generated with the help of AI is necessarily slop. If you are really thoughtful and intentional about it and you make sure it is in your brand voice, it's aligned with your brand, it's aligned with everything you've said and done up until this point, and everything you want to say and do going forward, great. If you make sure that it's accurate, that's a huge one. I feel like it should be obvious at this point, and yet we still see a lot of wrong information coming out of the chatbots and people putting it out there as fact, and it is not necessarily a fact. A lot of it the robots are just making up. So the good news is that, again, if you're thoughtful and intentional about it, using AI to help brainstorm ideas, to help organize your thoughts for you, to help identify things you may have missed in an article so that you can fill in those gaps. Write an outline for you. Great. AI is great at those things. So, yes, you can use it in your content creation process. Your process should not be, hey, ChatGPT, write me a blog post about such and such. That's not going to get you results. Certainly not if you just copy and paste it. Again, you can take whatever that is that it gives you and work with it intentionally so you make sure it's accurate, it's aligned with your brand, and it has your own unique perspective and experience embedded in that content, because that's what's going to set you apart as a thought leader. So that is my little more than 30 seconds. That's a few minutes of my thoughts on AI, quote unquote, generated content, AI regurgitated content, I prefer to say. So that being said, AI is not only here, it's bigger and in some ways better. It's not always better. I do think in some ways a lot of us are getting better at using it. I do, and again, last year I wrote about how AI continues to be hilarious and make hilarious mistakes. With an example of a photo with someone's head just kind of floating above a car, not connected to any body. Pretty hilarious, right? AI continues to make hilarious mistakes. I do think it's making those hilarious mistakes less frequently. I feel like I haven't heard as many of those stories this year. There are some of them, don't get me wrong. AI is still wrong, so you still have to check it. Some of the better AIs, the better LLMs, the large language models, specifically Claude and Perplexity, are getting better at identifying, something it saw somewhere online, right? We're all guilty of being that person who's like, well, I saw this somewhere, and now here I'm regurgitating it as fact, even if I can't remember where I saw it, and I certainly didn't bother to verify the source. AI does a lot of that same thing. AI is getting better at discernment. AI is getting better at, even if it regurgitates the content, it's still going to be like, this hasn't really been verified, so maybe take it with a grain of salt. Some of them are getting better at that. Like I said, Claude and Perplexity, I know, have gotten better at that. ChatGPT, not so much. So yeah, definitely take whatever comes out of there with a huge grain of salt and verify anytime you're using it for research or to back something up, or heaven forbid, you're looking for information on your health, your finances. Always be really, really careful about that, which leads into my next point, how people are looking for information. Because 2 years ago, I was jumping up and down saying, don't use ChatGPT as a search engine. It is not a search engine. It was not developed to be a search engine. It was developed to be a chatbot. That is completely different from being a search engine. The job of a search engine is to direct you to content that answers the questions that you are asking, or to direct you to vendors that sell the products or services that you are looking to buy. The job of a chatbot is to tell you what you want to hear, which is another great, and I've heard some really smart people also ringing the alarm bells on this as far as prompt engineering, right? Be really specific about the questions that you ask ChatGPT or Claude or whatever chatbot you're using. Try to phrase it as neutrally as possible, because the chatbot is trained to figure out what it is you want to hear and tell you what you want to hear, how you are so smart and you are so good at this and you are the best ever and you can do no wrong. Literally, it's going to tell you some version of that. So when you are looking for information, when you're looking for feedback, I use it all the time. I dump stuff in there and go, what could I have done better here? Again, ask for feedback and ask what you could have done better. Don't ask it to like give you a rating or how did I do on this or anything like that, because it will always give you a 10 out of 10. 5 stars, fireworks, all of the hearts. It was perfect. It's never been as good as this, right? It's gonna talk you up. And that feels really nice, yes. But it's not accurate and it's not helpful. So if you are asking for feedback, if you are looking for information, be really careful how you phrase your prompt so that you either make it as neutral as possible or you specifically ask it to tell you what you did wrong. Because I tend to do that because I want to know what I did wrong. So that is another thing to look out for, is the how you are engineering the prompts. And again, try to get that information that AI is giving you. So all that being said, sorry, I went on a bit of a tangent. I was talking about how people are using using ChatGPT and the other chatbots as search engines. There is Search GPT, so I got a little bit off my high horse. That made me feel a little bit better when OpenAI came out with Search GPT, which is designed as a search engine. That being said, a lot of people still use ChatGPT or Claude or Perplexity or whatever. They use it as their search engine. So, you can put the tool out there, you can't make people use it. So be aware of it. I've heard a lot of talk in marketing in the world of SEO that now it's not all about Google and getting, ranked at the top of Google. It's all about getting the AIs to mention your brand. I'm not sure that's really the answer, but that's a topic for a whole other video. So I will get into that in a couple weeks. So stay tuned for that. Right now, I'm just like, that's what I'm hearing. That's what a lot of marketers are talking about. There's various ways to, accomplish that, we think. That's my real problem with that is we don't really know. A lot of the SEO keywords or SEO tools that I use are incorporating things like what they're hearing over on the chatbots into their SEO tool. So it's not just all about keywords that are getting entered into Google. Now it's more about keywords and search terms and prompts that people are entering into ChatGPT, Claude, the various chatbots. That gets harder because not everyone asks the same question, right? You can have a word or a phrase that a whole lot of people are using. And we've seen this again and again. Even some of the longer keywords get tens of thousands of searches, some even hundreds of thousands of searches, right? So that's possible on Google. It is possible over on ChatGPT. It's just a whole lot less likely, just because people are more and more using full sentences to ask the chatbots whatever it is they want to know. So just keep that top of mind, that it's going to be, I think it's going to be more and more just generally covering the topic and less about the keywords. I also love the fact that people can ask questions you ask ChatGPT a question, you get an answer, you then ask it a question about the answer. You want to dive a little deeper. People can do that now. So that gets me into my next point of what's old is new again, right? Because if you are, Google has always loved that really long, in-depth content. Uh, the chatbots love it too, because if they can go to one source and answer a question, and then people ask iterative questions and they try to dig deeper, if the chatbots can still use your article as that source, they're going to keep using that article as their source. So that can be really good for you as far as getting people over to your website. And again, getting the chatbots to mention your brand. So there is still value in that. Google is not dead. Please stop saying Google is dead. Google went from 90+% of the online search market to 80+% of the online search market. Is that a drop? Yes. Is it out of the game? Not by a long shot. It still has 80+% of the search market. People are still searching on Google. That's just a fact. Whether or not Google will be able to weather this and come out the victor, or at least on a winning team, still remains to be seen. I'm not team Google or anything. I'm just saying, hold your horses, people. It's way too early to tell what's going to happen here. But yes, we need to be aware that more and more people are using ChatGPT and other search engines, other chatbots as search engines. Also, please stop saying like AI SEO and GEO, because again, it's not generative anything. It's just regurgitating stuff that humans have created. So it's not generative anything. And if you're using a different thing as a search engine, guess what? It's still a search engine. It's not Google. It just means you're using ChatGPT as a search engine. It's still SEO. I do like the term I've heard, AEO stands for answer engine optimization, which makes more sense to me because it isn't really a search engine. Again, we have Search GPT, but it is more of, you put in a prompt, you're looking for an answer, and then it gives you an answer, and you want to be included in that answer. So in that sense, AEO as an acronym makes sense to me. Please stop using GEO and AI SEO and all that garbage. It's just garbage. So that's my 2 cents on that. But again, Google is still big, still huge, still dominates online search. So don't count it out just yet. We do have the AI overviews on Google. I doubt anyone watching this has not seen an AI overview when they use Google. So that Google, the more Google invests in that, Google, I am pleased to say, actually almost never say that, but Google has actually been a little more tentative about how it releases its AI. So it wants to make sure that the AI is going to give them not hilariously wrong answers like it did in their ad where they released Bard. They announced Bard and it gave them the wrong answer, and no one bothered to fact check that before releasing the ad. So that was fun. So they've been a little more cautious. But as they've invested more into it, they're using it more and more, they're training it more and more, they're getting more confident in the answers that the AI overviews provide. So we are seeing more AI overviews. We are seeing more AI overviews, not just for informational. It used to be specifically for informational content or primarily for informational. You ask it a question. I just for funsies put in like, is AI going to kill us all? And sure enough, that popped up with an AI overview saying, no, don't worry, the robots are here to not kill us all. But again, that's a robot saying that, so take it with a big grain of salt. But that's an informational thing, right? If I was looking for an AI tool specifically, it would be less likely to pop up with an AI overview and more likely to direct me to a bunch of websites selling AI tools, just as an example. But we are seeing more and more, again, the chatbots and the AI overviews are also working their way into different different types of searches, not just informational, but some of those navigational and some of those commercial searches are also, AI is working its way in there. So that is something to be aware of just as far as your marketing funnel, right? Because as recently as a few months ago, I was like, well, maybe focus less on the informational content, focus a little bit more on the later stages of the buyer journey. But now AI is over there too. So who can say what 2026 will bring? Um, but again, a lot of what's old is new again. Google still recommends long, in-depth, high-quality content that actually answers the questions people are asking. And a lot of the chatbots are saying the same thing. They're saying, yeah, it's got to be high quality content that actually answers the questions people are asking. And again, that longer, in-depth content that dives deep into a topic that people can dig deeper and deeper and go, well, but what about this? But what about such and such? What do I need to know about this over here? All of that is going to be incorporated into the heaven. Heaven forbid me from saying AEO, but here we go, right? This is the world we're living in, AEO. So that's it. That's what's big in marketing in 2025. I am going to be talking in 2 weeks about what's going to be big in marketing in 2026. So stay tuned for that. And in the meantime, if you have any questions, if you want to ask me, if you want to dig deeper into this topic with me and ask me about my thoughts on AI slop and and other things related to AI and marketing, always happy to talk about that. Again, you can get more information like this over at my website, AV as in my initials, Allison Verhalen. That is avwritingservices.com, and you can reach me directly at info@avwritingservices.com. That's it. Have a great week and happy blogging, everyone.